Hey listeners, it's Paul Andriola here. Why not join our community at Small Cap Discoveries, where we offer our members direct access to some of the best microcap investment opportunities available. Our members are getting access to premium microcap financings, research reports, and direct access to management. Sign up today at www.smallcapdiscoveries.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Small Cap Discoveries conference call. Today, we have back the CEO, Eric Eyerman from California Nanotechnologies. California Nanotechnology trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol CNO, and it also trades on the OTC under CANOF. The company is currently trading at 17.5 cents with about 31 million shares outstanding, or about a $5.5 million market cap. I'd now like to hand it over to Paul Andriola.
Thanks, Trevor. Eric, great to have you back. It's been a little while since we've last spoken, so always good to get caught up here. We have been following you guys for quite a while, and what's always nice to see is when somebody can come back and update us on a slightly bigger company than they were when the last time we spoke to them. So you guys are obviously growing, and good to see you're growing in the right the right areas, profit and revenue as well. So happy to have you back. Before we sort of get into any kind of updates, maybe refresh everybody in terms of what California Nanotech is all about.
Yeah, well, thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me back. Excited to talk and update everybody on Cal Nano. So yeah, as a reminder, Cal Nano's mission is to bring the next generation of materials to market using our cutting edge technologies. Our vision is that we envision a world in which our advanced technologies are used to help make the most innovative products on this planet and beyond. We're working with everyone from universities, national labs, emerging startups to Fortune 500 companies, like your Boeings, your GMs, your GEs, to help them develop their products. We're headquartered here outside of Los Angeles, California. Our main business model is that we offer both R&D and production manufacturing services using our two core technologies, where customers come to us and provide us with the raw materials, and then we process them for a fee. This has proved to be a pretty highly profitable business model over the last few years, looking at 70% gross margin and 20+% EBITDA margin last fiscal year. The two core technologies that we work with, first one is spark plasma sintering. Next one is cryogenic milling. Both are used to essentially enhance the material properties of products for our customers. That could be making them lighter, stronger, improving electrical or thermal properties, just to name a few things. When looking at those two technologies, you can think of cryomilling as a process where you're taking materials that are in powder form and taking them down to cryogenic temperatures, mixing them at high speeds, which then enhances those materials. And you can basically take anything that's on the periodic table and you can cryomill that on its own or with other elements, and that can create unique alloys or improve the material properties of those given elements. The second thing, which I mentioned, was just spark plasma sintering, or SPS, where we can take those powders or other materials that we get from our customers and turn them from powders into part. And that's a big improvement over this technology is a big improvement over the traditional way because it's faster and more energy efficient. We've been working with a bunch of different, interesting things that I'll get more into with other updates, but it's rocket nozzles, batteries, green steel technology, many other things. Normally we're working with smaller but critical, high value components, that are going to be used in a bigger product to enable like economic or structural viability, to help those products get out to market. A little example of that, just to give you an idea, is we're making a specific product that is helping to extend the life cycle of a given product that a customer has. And while this part may be only $500, it can extend the life of the product they have by 3 times to improve its life cycle. And so some of our customers are going to need thousands of these, as they scale up per year for production. So we're really, really excited about those type of, opportunities. And then another part of our business that's a little separate from the main business model is that we're a U.S. distributor for a Japanese equipment manufacturer. We're typically selling to R&D teams at universities, and so far we've sold about $500,000 in the U.S. Over the last year. But our main focus is really working with the toll services and looking to transition from R&D over to commercial scale production manufacturing. And so we're really excited about that. And we're a small company, but we like to say that we kind of punch above our weight class when it comes to working with all these larger companies and spanning from aerospace to renewable energy, defense, semiconductors, and a bunch more. So.
Fantastic, awesome. Thanks for sort of the refresher of what you guys do. So we did see a decent little growth in the business over the last year. What's the cause of that? Why are you guys growing right now?
Yeah, so right now we're seeing a lot of growth and interest in both of our technologies, honestly, in spark plasma sintering and cryogenic milling. We've been able to continue to build a strong foundation, and kind of a little bit more specific on the fiscal year and recapping things there. We saw 29% revenue growth to about 1.4 million. EBITDA was at margin of 24%, positive operating cash flow of about 623,000. This was even despite having second half of the year with kind of doing some more hiring due to the customer demand that we're seeing. And I think that we're really benefiting from the increased awareness of the core technologies that we have as customers start to recognize that the critical components that they need can be made with these technologies and can be now shown to be executed at more of a commercial scale than previously we thought. So,
why don't we just take it back a step and give us you touched on some of the products you guys make, but how does a client or potential client find out about you? And then what's the process to go through and say, we want to manufacture the nose cone of a rocket or something like, I think that's what you said. That's not a very large market in my mind, but there's got to be obviously a lot of expertise here. How does somebody find you? And then how do you go through the process of saying, okay, here's the rocket, the nose cone we're going to make for you guys?
Sure. So the process, typically how people will find us is usually through, we'll go out to conferences, to shows, to show what our technology can do, what the possibilities are for it. So that's one way. Another thing is that there's a lot of R&D and research with specifically spark plasma sintering, and so a lot of these engineers, these researchers will go out and do a literature search. So you just go to Google Scholar or whatever. You're looking for how to make X material with these sort of given properties, and they'll find this SPS technology. And then when you search for who can do that. That's when we come up. And then they come out, reach out to us. They talk about what their application is, what the possibilities are for it, and then we have the expertise to be able to help them develop that product from the fundamental R&D scale all the way up to now really looking at pushing into the boundaries of pushing up to manufacturing. And being able to do that at a higher volume. And so, like you said, the nose cone for a rocket, for example, it's a small market, but it's very high value. So, we may only make 100 of them, in a given year for something like that, for a customer or a bunch of different customers. But those could be worth $10,000 a piece, you know. So we range everything from that to customers that are making really small, like ring components that they're going to need 1 million of, but those are only going to be in the couple, you know, a few dollars or range for what they need. But still, in the scope of what they're doing, very high value, and so we still can fit in that kind of area as well.
I mean, when you think of it, nose cones seem like a pretty crazy product. But I can imagine you guys probably have either been involved with or know of some other crazy products. Can you think of anything else that sort of really stands out as a very unique product that you guys have made?
So one of the things would probably be in the green steel industry that we're working on right now. You know, it's something that you may have, anyone who's may have been following us may have seen in the press releases. We recently got you know, almost $300,000 in new orders from them, and that work is continuing to scale up. But the product that we're doing for them is essentially a key part of being able to revolutionize the steel industry. So instead of CO2 being kind of a byproduct of when you're removing the iron ore, you're actually just having oxygen as a byproduct. And so it's a very unique material, and it's a very unique part that we're kind of providing. I really wish I could say more, and I hope that the customer will allow me to do that later. But that one is something that we're really excited about right now.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk about clients. Are there any clients you can talk about? Like you operate in the aerospace industry. I imagine you mentioned some ESG sort of sectors. What kind of, if you can't name names, sort of the quality of the companies you're talking about? I imagine there's some pretty large companies you work with.
Yeah. So some of the ones we can talk about is Boeing is a big one that we're doing a lot of research with different you know, different kind of next generation metallic components. Another one that I can say is they're an emerging startup. Name is Ambry. So they do liquid metal batteries, and they're basically looking at like grid scale level energy storage. And you know, what we're making for them is kind of comes back to my other point earlier about a component that is going to extend the life cycle to basically something that is, you know, 4 to 5 times longer than what they currently are able to do with their existing kind of component they have within that product. And so our technology is able to allow them to sinter these unique material systems and bond them together in certain cases to be able to you know, allow them to do that. So that's another one that we're really excited about.
We just got a question in the chat, which reminds me to remind everybody, if you've got any questions you'd like me to ask Eric, please use chat function and we'll do so. To that point, the question was, any military contracts? Do you sell into the military industry?
Yes. Yeah, we do have some work. We do work a lot with all of the government like research labs. So like your US NRL, so Navy Research Lab, your Army Research Lab. And then we're working with other defense companies. So such as, you know, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, those type of people for various applications, both for cryomilling and for SPS. Can't speak specifically about the applications, but we are working in those industries as well.
So you're obviously growing. You're doing something right to continue to do that. How do investors sort of look on you guys and try to get a sense of where you can go? What sort of does the addressable market look like, and what's going to sort of prevent you from getting significantly larger right now?
Sure. Well, I'll start in one area here. So with our current capacity, our current equipment that we have, We still have the kind of the run rate, the capacity to be able to go about 2 to 3 times more revenue than what we're sitting at. And so, you know, we're looking at continue to expand our that can just be purely on the R&D contract side. So, you know, those R&D contracts range from in the, you know, we've basically just slowly kind of scaled them up. So they've been in the tens of thousands to now into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so we're looking to increase those significantly as we continue to get the technology out there. And then the next step on terms of these commercial contracts is, you know, order of magnitude higher than that. So we're talking in the high hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars for these commercial contracts that we're looking to land. And to be fair, that's ongoing. We haven't landed the first one yet, but we still continue to grow, which I think is a good sign. There's a lot of interest, and I think the more R&D work and the more customers that we bring in on the R&D side just gives us that much more opportunity to be able to land those commercial contracts. And one of the key things there is going to be securing more capacity for us to be able to execute on those. We did recently, you know, acquire a new cryo mill system because we saw the opportunity there and it was a very attractive price. And so we estimate that once that's up and running, it's going to increase our capacity by, you know, threefold compared to where we're at right now, which, you know, approximately gives us about, you know, $4 million run rate, you know, depending on the product mix that we're doing, you know, for cryo-milling. So, you know, we're doing the same thing for SPS, looking at additional capacity. So we're exploring all the options there when it comes to both those technologies.
What sort of Capex is required if you wanted to do that? I mean, you've got the cryo miller right now, but is there any additional Capex? I imagine maybe space or, you know, what can you tell us?
Yeah, so the big Capex is going to be the next SPS equipment. So the one that's going to be used for some of these larger contracts for bigger production, and that's in the range of $1 to $1.5 million dollars, which can be used to meet the upcoming, you know, customer demand, and that'll be able to make parts that are about 3 times the size of what we currently do. So it gives a lot more possibilities there. You know, and so the other thing, will be to get additional space. So we'll need to move facilities. So there's going to be some cost there, you know, in the few hundreds of thousands of dollars kind of range in terms of moving. And then speaking about the equipment real quick, just looking at that for people that are interested, for a payback period on that would be, you know, less than 3 years based on what we're estimating on the equipment like that. And this equipment, you know, that from all that we understand, it would last 15 plus years. So so it's very, very robust, and so it'll be very valuable for us.
But to get to that 2 to 3 times your current business that you said you sort of have capacity for, is there much that you have to do to get there? You have to add a lot of staff. What would you have to do to maximize your current capacity?
Yeah, I think the main thing would be staff. Yeah, the main thing would be adding on. You know, so right now we're at 7 full-time and then a few part-time employees. To get to that sort of level, we'd probably have to go probably up to about 20, probably 20 total employees or so, maybe a little bit less. It will vary depending on exactly what's coming in, what the you know, particular product is, or what particular research that we're doing. Will dictate that, but that's really the main thing will be staff that will kind of work for capacity.
Yeah, and how hard is it to find this type of staff? Like how skilled, or how, you know, sort of how much expertise does this staff have to come with, or are you able to train them on site relatively quickly?
We've developed a robust training program, so we're really hiring people that have the base level of skills, so base level of kind of science and engineering understanding, and the aptitude and the really the kind of energy that we want, with a growing company like this, and then really hiring for character. So we want people that we can see that that are going to want to be here, and they're going to build and fit with our culture, and then so that's really where we're at. It's a very unique technology, so it's really difficult to find someone who we could just kind of fit and be able to just pop in and run this sort of thing. So we found that that's our best way of going about hiring.
I mean, is there any new products? I mean, you're more of an R&D or customizer on behalf of clients, but is there anything sort of new, maybe a new service or new style of business? I use the word new quite a bit in this question, but do you get where I'm going? Like, is there anything new that you guys are excited about?
Yeah, so I would say the new things that we're really excited about are some of the different partnerships that we've actually kind of started to establish in order to get kind of additional distribution and additional kind of connection within the industry, and just kind of branching out to other ones as well. So we probably the most exciting one is a company that we've teamed up with now that is combining 3D printing with SPS. So something like that is, obviously additive manufacturing, 3D printing is huge. Everybody is very into that. And so I think teaming up with them and being able to combine the additive manufacturing with SPS is going to be a big, that's a big potential for us to kind of branch out into different areas and do some different things there. We've also partnered up with a company that has complementary milling technology. So basically a company that is doing primarily lab scale, milling, that sort of things. And then they're looking at, we're going to use their network to be able to then, to take their customers and scale up using cryomilling, because their technology doesn't scale, but ours can. And so we partnered with them to be able to scale up, some of these things. Like one of them is a program that we're working on with NASA for some nanometallic material that they're looking to scale for specific space application. So those sorts of things are pretty,
Wow.
we're excited about.
If you're dealing with NASA, then I imagine you're dealing with some pretty cool stuff. We before we sort of went live, we talked about the fact that you sort of feel like you just became CEO recently. You've been actually CEO for quite a while, 5 years, I think you said. Yeah. But over the last year, something's really changed. What can you tell us has surprised you the most in the last year? And then second part of that question is what's been the biggest challenges over the last year?
Yeah, I'd say that, like you mentioned, it's really felt over the last year that I've kind of come into the role, grown into the role a lot more, with doing more on the investor side, which makes me feel, more on the executive, and then same for the business, that's been starting to gain a lot more interest and gain a lot more, technology's gained a lot more credibility, which has been exciting. And then some of the challenges, I would say, it's just been balancing the workload. I think as you start to grow, there's a lot that needs to be done, and we're still a small team. So, but the work and amount that's been continuing to build up. Again, you get more interest. There's more people to talk to. There's more things to do, and so it's been able to find a balance there. And I think that's been challenging, but exciting challenge. And I think my team I've set up my team really well, and it's been something that I think we can do it. So.
Cool. I got a couple more questions that come in. One of the questions is, if you win a $1 million contract, would the contract be realized in a 12-month period? I guess maybe that's the question should be, how long do these contracts typically sort of run?
Yeah, so that would be, it'd be highly dependent on what the contract was for. So if it was if we got $1 million contract tomorrow and it was for something that we could do with our current capacity. So when I say current capacity, I mean like the size of the part is something that can be done with our systems that we have here. Then yeah, that would be something that could be recognized within a year. If it was something that we got $1 million contract tomorrow, but it was for the larger system, then it was a larger part, then that would be dictated on when exactly we could get the larger SPS equipment in house to be able to do that sort of thing. And then yeah, like so usually yeah, these contracts would be over the course of a year to sum it all up.
Yeah. Then Eric, I'm trying to picture in my head, where do you sort of get your raw materials? Like where do you procure the stuff in the format that you guys use right now?
Sure. So typically we're getting our customers are providing the raw materials to us. And so that's 95% of the time that's in powder form. And that powder is just sourced from any of your large powder manufacturing companies. So we're not actually producing any powder, but the customers are getting that. They're buying the raw material, the raw powders from a large powder manufacturer, and they're sending to us to process. So that's typically what our where the raw materials we are for making the products are coming from.
Mm-hmm. So you don't really have supply sort of constraints. That's the client's responsibility.
Exactly.
Like.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't have to worry too much about supply chain issues when it comes to the raw materials. And we've also the one kind of raw material that we need specifically for sintering is the tooling, which is typically made of graphite. And so we've been able to set up a very good, very attractive kind of vendor relationship with a graphite supplier over the years that we've built up. And so they're local, and we can also machine our own tooling in-house. So it makes it so, typically if you were to, let's say you had your own SPS system and you wanted to, you were making parts. You broke a die, so you need to get a new one. It'd be 6 weeks for you to, typical lead time to get another piece of tooling in there to be able to use it. For us, we could turn that around in a day because of how fast we could be able to get it. And that's kind of set us up really well to kind of just in the way that we've grown over the kind of organically and just being, I guess, really, I don't know if scrappy is the right word, but just being really resourceful. That's been an important part of that. And we're looking to carry that same mentality into the kind of the scale up in the manufacturing space, which I think will lead us to be able to keep those kind of gross margins and kind of higher, profit margins that we have now.
Okay, a bit of a financial questions come in. It says, company has negative working capital. Can you comment on the line item advance from related parties? And how flexible is that payment?
So that's the Omnilight. For anyone who's been following the CNO story, that's the Omnilight debt. So that is from pre myself, back the early days of the company. We've been holding that debt with Omnilight. They currently own about 19% of us, and we have a very good relationship with them. We've actually recently, just this year, paid off. We did make a large kind of lump sum payment to them as kind of a show of, like, obviously good faith. We're making more money, so we've done that, which they've appreciated. And we're continuing to work with them to pay down that debt. But it's ongoing, and like I said, we have a good relationship with them, so it's something that we're working through.
Outside of the ownership of the business, is there any other working relationship? Do you guys make any parts for them? Do you ever, vice versa?
We've explored it. We've explored over the years for sure, but nothing has ever kind of really come to fruition. So right now we kind of exchange things back and forth. We do they do some analysis. We do some analysis for them. They do some things for us. But it's very small, so there's not too much. We do sublease the are the building, the building up there, and we sublease from them. So.
Gotcha. I mean, clearly you guys you're growing. It looks like you're starting to get some good traction, some of the sort of products and services that you guys are providing. What do you see as the outlook? Sort of an open-ended question. When you look out a couple of years, what do you hope to see? What do you expect to see?
Yeah, so I've been making, I've been making the rounds when it comes to visiting some other people within the industry, specifically SPS. So going to name names, Idaho National Lab, Penn State University, they both are big in the research of SPS. They have really large SPS systems. And everyone that I've been talking to, including other people that I know in Europe, they're seeing the demand just start to go, 2x, 3x from where it was, just a few years ago. And so I think that there's a wave coming for this technology. And I think a lot of that is stemming from the push for more advanced materials. So the push for people exploring things that can't be done in traditional ways. And so when you go down that path, our technology is well suited to be able to fit those type of needs. And so I think as more people continue to do that, and the fact that over the past decade we've been getting the word out that we're someone who can do that and has the capability, and we've built up that expertise, that I see that that's going to bode well for us as a first mover, in this area. And I mean, just for putting some numbers on things, so just for us year over year, we've seen 100% increase in the amount of inquiry and quote log that we have for both cryomilling and SPS. So it's been it's significant improvement, and I don't really see it stopping anytime soon, since we are the only ones in North America that can offer that sort of service. And so I think that the growth that we're talking about in terms of 2 to 3xing our capacity just on the R&D side, plus the commercial contracts, is something that is highly achievable.
Looks very attainable, yeah. As investors sort of on the outside looking in, what do you think are the most important things to watch for, and whether that's a catalyst or milestones or even sort of metrics? What do you think we should pay the most attention to going forward?
Yeah, I would say that the big thing to look for is just in terms of Cal Nano, looking at us, landing that commercial contract. So that's the next key thing. I think the R&D is going to continue to come, and that's been steady. That's what we've been doing. But I think looking at when we're landing that first commercial contract for either one of these technologies, honestly, is going to be the big one, and it allow us to to grow multiple fold when it comes to where we're at now.
Gotcha. So watch for a decent sized commercial contract that that would change you guys quite a bit from what you said is R&D style business. Eric, sort of last question is again an open-ended question, but what do you think is the key takeaway or the key message everybody should walk away with today about the business?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would say that, as I mentioned earlier, we're a small company, but we, with the people that we work with, the different materials and the parts that we're working with, we like to say we punch above our weight class, and we really hope to not be small forever. We're thinking about, when I think about the company, I think of things in more of an what I'd call an infinite mindset. So I'm not thinking short term. I'm thinking about how Cal Nano can grow significantly more than where it is now, and trying to position ourselves to be able to do that. And I think that the path that we're on and these technologies have that potential. And as I mentioned, earlier, that I just kind of started to feel now that I'm starting to be into that more of that CEO role. It's been a tough journey over the last few years as we're starting to kind of move and get on the right track here. But I think there's a lot of solid opportunities moving forward. And some of these recent contracts and investments into increasing our capacity, are really good steps in the right direction as we continue to secure more and larger contracts. We're really benefiting from some of the tailwinds here in the U.S. I'd say particularly for the products and services benefiting from like the Inflation Reduction Act, which is stimulating a lot of investments into clean energy and sustainability. And so, as we've talked about, that those are two areas that companies that are looking at those type of things are really looking at us to help with making their products. And I mentioned that's shown with some of our largest customers. Those would be Ambry, and that liquid metal clean energy company. Mm-hmm. And then also in the green steel company that we work with, and then another one that I didn't mention, but it's a sustainability kind of biotech company that we work with too. That's in that sort of space. So overall, it's just we're really excited about what's to come, and hope that everybody has a chance to continue to watch our project progress and be able to we can execute on these things.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on continuing to grow the business. Always like to see small companies get at least a little bit bigger and continue to grow. We've been speaking with CEO Eric Eyerman, California Nanotechnologies. Symbol is CNO on the Venture Exchange. Eric, it was great to catch up and look forward to catching up in the near future.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.